we've duped it out from both perspectives. We both kind of feel it doesn't really make sense from either perspective. So now let's predict. What do you think? How does this play out?
Yeah, I'm going to say he stays in Houston. This is Houston's opportunity to be the kid where if I can't play soccer with you guys, then nobody gets to play soccer. So I'm going to take my ball and go home.
I got to tell you, it's complicated because there is a very serious racial element going on here. We got to talk about this.
Right.
I mean, and Watson's right in a lot of ways. I mean,
Absolutely.
His owner had said the thing about the inmates running the asylum. His owner probably is the closest thing to a Donald Sterling owner in the NFL. And he knows it. He knows he plays for that guy.
Real quick, Bob McNair was the one who said it. Cal is the owner now. Bob passed.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah,
but they're related.
Same family, same process, yeah.
So he knows he plays for that organization. I mean, look what black athletes have all fought for the last 6, 7, 8 months. They're all trying to take control of as they should. You know, they're trying to promote black coaches, black executives. And a lot of teams are trying to do that, but not Houston. I mean, they didn't even interview a black GM. They don't seem interested in a black head coach. And it seems like Deshaun Watson's attitude is, well, you know what? I don't want to work here anymore. This is ridiculous. So I respect him for that.
I get that.
So for him to come back, I'm trying to think what McNair would have to do. He would have to hire someone like Jim Caldwell. Could Jim Caldwell appease Deshaun Watson?
It's got to be someone like that. And, it feels like I think they did interview Jim Caldwell. And, the upsetting thing about the Rooney Rule at times is that sometimes it feels like just an obligation that owners and coach or people hiring just fulfill the obligation, but don't take those candidates seriously. And, I think the Texans are really the organization that epitomizes that, just looking at the fact that they didn't interview Robert Saleh and Eric Bieniemy, maybe the two most prominent candidates in this head coaching cycle, and both of them being minorities. So that element, I think, is 100% right, because there's two things. And I think the thing with Houston is that I think they got it. If they're going to move him, they got to get the Herschel Walker deal. Otherwise, I think they're better off if Deshaun Watson just says no to them and retires and steps away, because Houston still has to manage and maximize this as a football team, right? Nick Caserio is a pretty young guy still. He's going to want to be in this business of personnel and managing for years. And if you trade away Deshaun Watson for something that doesn't maximize the full value of what Deshaun Watson's worth, which is as valuable as any player in the NFL when it comes from a marketing perspective, a player perspective, all of those things entailed, when you take into account all of those things, then he's not worth anything. Like, who would want to hire Nick Caserio? Oh, you just traded Deshaun Watson for a box of peanuts. No, so
hold on. So you think he's staying put in Houston, and they may hire a head coach such as Jim Caldwell to appease him?
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. Let me make my prediction. I think this McNair guy is going to stay true to his roots, because there's basically there's two options. There's two paths you can take. Appease Deshaun Watson, which is the right thing to do, or take control of your team, show them who's boss. What are the McNairs going to do? What was their famous quote? They don't want the inmates running the asylum. If they appease Deshaun Watson, they're going to think like, hey, man, you give him an inch, he'll take a mile. What's the next thing he's going to want? They already showed that they don't want to appease him by bringing in Nick Caserio in the first place. So hold on. Here's my prediction. What they're going to do is they're going to trade him to Miami. I really believe it. I think they're going to take Tua. They're going to take all those picks, and Watson will be a Miami Dolphin. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I think
they would.
I think that's likely to happen, and I think that's good for Deshaun Watson. Brian Flores and Chris Greer are both black. A black head coach, black general
Jewish
manager,
owner,
right?
Jewish
in positions of power, right? His political donations aside, Jewish owner and all of that.
Really? Anyway,
I think he did donate a lot to the campaign, but whatever, at least he hired Chris Greer and Brian Flores, and that's what it seems. That's also what Deshaun Watson wants, and he would get that. The one thing I would say with that is that if there is something like that, and Deshaun Watson isn't traded for how good he is and all of that, then I think the NFL has got to take a look at what's going on in Houston and all of that, because all Deshaun Watson asked, right? I think people are starting to take it out of context what he asked. He didn't ask them, you better hire Eric Bieniemy. He said, just
interview him.
Take a look at Eric Bieniemy.
Consider him. And the fact that they wouldn't even do that, it's like, hey, like you won't even listen to your franchise quarterback. Like you won't even consider this guy. Like what's the deal? Is it racism? What's going on? Hey, do your thing, Deshaun. Go to the Dolphins. I would rather play for the Miami Dolphins and the Houston Texans. Come on.
Of course.
Come on. All right, we got a quick question, if you don't mind. I think we should take it because the Eagles just fired their head coach today. So they're in the news, and we know that Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz had like a personal falling out. That wasn't going to work. And part of the reason they went to Jalen Hurts in the first place is because Peterson didn't like Wentz. So now that they may be a new head coach, I don't even know if Wentz will be available, but do you think the Niners – we've talked about this so many times. Does this change anything? Do you think the Niners should go after Wentz, Vish?
Correct me if I'm wrong. The way I read this situation is Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman attempting to rectify things with Wentz, right?
That's the way I look at it too, yeah.
The Schefter report was that Peterson and Wentz no longer get along and that's why Wentz wants out. He was really upset about the benching. Well, excuse me. I've had a lot of Freudian slips today, Jesus. But Wentz's contract is pretty unmovable. And the entire point with Wentz's contract is that they can't really trade him. So the way I read this was get rid of Peterson and try to get the guy that Wentz wants. So I don't think Wentz is even going to be available in this cycle of who gets who at quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's going anywhere. Sean Shepard, I missed your question. I saw the donation. If you ask the question again, I'll answer it. Don't give me any more money. I'm sorry I missed it. I'm sorry, Sean. Just ask the question again. I'll find it and I'll answer it. Tony B says the Texans can't keep Watson. They're better off trading him while he's cheap instead of next year when his cap hit is $40 million going to 2020. I agree with that to an extent. They've proven that they can't build around this guy. In fact, they've ruined their roster trying to do it. I don't know. They got to tear it down and start over. Trade him for what you can. Get to I guess. He could end up, if he's not your starter, he can end up being your backup. Whatever. Bring him to it and start over.
Yeah, it's an impossible situation, right? Because logically what you're saying makes sense, but then there's also the part of the fact that you might never draft a player like Deshaun Watson in your franchise history again. This guy is going to be one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL for 15 years. So,
and that's what people thought about. That's what the Cowboys probably thought about Herschel Walker in 1987. Like, well, we're never going to have a running back like this ever again. Oh, well, they got one.
I think the bigger difference, though, was that Herschel Walker was not an ascending player at the time. Deshaun Watson is still ascending.
And he's a quarterback.
Right.